Periscope and on YouTube. So happy Thursday, everybody. Really interesting market. The market is very, very undecided at this point. I closed my short positions on the Spider and the Diamond. I am long on Tesla, and I also sold a call option. I sold a 7:30 call option for Friday. It expires on Friday. And so it's very interesting. It's a very interesting time to be in the market. On my live feed for YouTube and for YouTube and for Periscope, I'm showing my positions. I basically purchased 100 shares of Tesla for $730.65, and I sold a Tesla call option for this Friday, $28.93. That was done on Tuesday. I've closed all my short positions. I just wanted to show that for a kind of demonstration purposes only. Very, very interesting what's happening in the market. It looks as if the Spider and the Diamond have calmed down. Initially, I was short going into the day, thinking that we would see some downward motion. It has recovered, so we're sort of in an interesting period. It's sort of a dead cat. I don't know if it's not really a bounce, but it's basically being held up. I think that, the way things are, that may happen. We may be held up in this pattern for till about Friday, but unfortunately the numbers are coming in for a lot of the companies like the airlines, and it's just it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, it's going to be very bad, and we're going to be probably, at least here at Dallas Trading Floor, we are going to be shorting. I have a question here. Somebody's asking, what is an ETF? Well, an ETF is what they call an exchange traded fund, and it trades just like a stock, but essentially it is a basket of various stocks. For instance, their Spider, which is the largest ETF in the world, it is basically stocks that correspond to the S&P 500. The S&P 500 roughly is the Fortune 500 companies, the largest companies in the United States. It's a relatively broad index. And what the Spider does is that it tends to duplicate this by buying stocks relative to their weighting and their value in the index. And then that is traded. Currently, the Spider is trading at about 277 to 278 right now. It has tested a low on March 23rd of 218. That's a very important number to look at, because many people in the industry, as well as myself, believe that the market will test a low sometime in the near future. So I don't see the market moving up to the levels that it was prior to March 23rd. The market really saw its peak at about the third week of February. That's when the market started to move downwards. That's when I indicated to everyone to try to get into cash as quickly as possible. Of course, that's what I did myself. I got into all cash, and then basically as it bottomed, I started to short the market, doing quite well doing that, shorting primarily the Spider, but also the Diamond. That's the Dow Jones ETF, and also the Russell 2000 ETF. Now we're in a situation where I do believe we're going to reverse down, but it's less. It's just less volatile. Good question about Amazon here. If you can look on my screen, I think I have a picture of Amazon in terms of where it is. It is absolutely doing great. It is the number one on the IBD 50. And let me see if I could pull up the chart here for Amazon. Very good call there. Do I have Amazon? No, I just have it in the IBD 50. But Amazon currently is 447.02. It's up very, very strongly at 475. I am currently not in this stock, but it is definitely doing well. You cannot seem to keep this down. Let's see. How is Amazon's share price rising that fast? Well, let me tell you what's happening in the markets. It's really interesting that you mentioned that. The reason it's moving, the reason that Amazon's price is moving is because what there's crowding. Basically, companies are and funds are selling the stocks like Boeing, like United Airlines, those kind of things, and they're crowding in to stocks such as Netflix and Microsoft, which basically are leading this sort of at-home revolution that's going on right now. Netflix has just been tremendous. It really is going to become the economy for for television. I think television, as we know it, broadcast television is going to be much weaker going forward, and I think Netflix is going to take up a lot of that slack. There's also other things too, such as all the companies are trying to launch their services. Like, for instance, NBC has this thing called Peacock. It might do well. Disney, of course, has a streaming service as well. So the SPY seems to be, it absolutely does have resistance at 280. This is what I've been talking about on basically on a regular basis. I have the chart of the spider up on Periscope right now. By the way, the Periscope address, if you're interested in taking a look at this along with me, is pscp.tv/Dallas Trading Floor, all one word, or periscope.com/Dallas Trading Floor. Basically, what's happening is that the spider is pushing up against the 50-day moving average line, which for those at home can see this on Periscope. I have the chart up, and basically that's the red line. What's happening is that it's moving up to that point. It's moving up to the point of the 50-day moving average. It's then bouncing off. That's resistance. And as you notice, the 50-day moving average line is moving down. So even though the spider is up today on this chart, I took it just a picture a little bit before this broadcast. It's up about $1 at 278. Now, I had a short on the spider this morning. I closed it because of this price action. How do you get started as a stock investor? Very good question. The way you get started as a stock investor, first of all, is I recommend reading a book. You can get it on Amazon. It's called How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill, and he is the one that founded the Investor Business Daily. I think it's probably the best paper for learning. And then just get started with a few shares. That's how you do it. Right now, it's a tough environment because I believe we're going to be into a down market. We're going to be into what they call a bear market, and in a bear market, it's much more difficult if you are long a stock, meaning buying a stock. What I do in this show is I show people how to profit from a down market. And the way you do that is shorting the stock. Basically, you have an account that allows you to borrow stock from the brokerage, sell it, and then hopefully cover those shares when they reverse lower and downward. So that's kind of the situation on that. But there are ways as a small investor that you can benefit in a down market. And there are several interesting, what they call exchange traded funds, such as the SQQQ, which basically shorts the NASDAQ 100, or what they call the QQQ. That's a good way to play a down market. You could buy this. You could buy as little as one share. You can definitely get into that kind of investing. So that's a good way to start if you don't have the capability to borrow shares and sell them and go short. There are these short funds that you can use to do that, and I highly recommend them as a way to get started. This is going to be a more difficult market to play than what they call a long market, the way it was prior, where basically all the stocks were basically going up all the time, and all you had to do really was buy something good, and then hopefully it would go up. That's not really the case right now. Stocks are acting detached from reality. Absolutely. This is really good. This is a really RJC 58. That's, by the way, on coming to on TikTok. This is a really good comment. Right now, we have all of this liquidity that was injected into the market by the Fed, and that's coming into the market. So it's kind of like, we're going to come off this high, unfortunately, I believe, starting next week, towards the end of next week, and we're going to see a retest of the lows that we saw on March 23rd. Now, this is an opportunity if you are short a stock. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have an account and it allows you to short stock, you have to have what they call a level 3 authorization at TD Ameritrade and some of the other bigger houses. It allows you basically to sell the stock, borrow the stock, sell the stock, and then let it move down and then buy it back, and that's your profit. So I'm currently long in the market, which is strange because I'm telling everybody about shorting. Well, the only thing I'm long right now is Tesla. I opened a position in Tesla on Tuesday, buying 100 shares for $730.60 a share, and then I immediately sold a covered call, a option to buy them from me for the $730 price that I paid for it, but I received for that a premium of $28.98 for that. They paid me per share. So that's how I play it. Basically, I bought the shares and then I sold the right to buy them for them at the same price, and the people paid for that option. That option expires at the end of business tomorrow. So we will see if I am sold out of the position. If I do, that would be a great situation. That's a safer way to buy stock in a market that's very volatile, in a falling market like we're in now. So that's the reason I do that. Are you using analysis to see the shorts coming early part of next week? Well, actually, no. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the spider. That's my the spider is what I tend to key off of the most because it's a very broad index. It's the S&P 500. And again, I'm going to put the spider up on the screen here. Basically what's happening, and I think you could see this, I'm moving it over to on Periscope, pscp.tv/Dallas Trading Floor is where I'm showing this. Basically what's happened is that if you're looking at this chart of the spider on March 23rd, it basically bottomed. The index bottom. That means the entire market bottom at the price on the spider at that time was 218. Typically, the way a recession works in the past is typically recessions or bear markets last for about 18 months. And what happens is that there's 3 legs down. Typically, the first leg down, we've had the first leg down. That was 218 on the spider. I'm looking for the market to retest that, meaning that the market will then move back down to that point, and then it will bounce off of that and move up again for the second leg down. But basically, there's going probably, if past is any history, we're going to have at least 3 legs down. The market will go lower as companies start to bankrupt in certain sectors due to lack of demand. For instance, I don't know if you realize it, but American Airlines has only 1/10 of the revenue that they had just a month ago. So they're probably going to be in trouble. Most of the airline sector is going to be in trouble. As a matter of fact, they were even talking about taking seats out of airplanes and flying freight just because there's so little demand in the airline business. Also, you're going to see some bankruptcies probably in the cruise lines. And I do see this coming once this stimulus wears off, and a lot of people will just be basically hoarding cash, and it will be probably a move down. Tech and chip stocks are doing okay. Absolutely, they are, because in our modern economy, chip stocks and tech stocks really are the bellwethers of the economy, and they really show the future. The whole stay-at-home telecommunications thing, that's going to be based on chip stocks. Also, you have a lot of these very big funds trying to pile into sort of the lifeboats that we have right now. And those lifeboats are like Microsoft. You can see that Microsoft is moving very, very strongly. I have a price list on Microsoft. It's on the IBD 50, which is kind of amazing. But right now, at least when I took the picture of this, let's see, Microsoft was selling. It's up $2.73 today at 176.57. Now, the interesting thing about Microsoft on this is that Microsoft is essentially a bellwether for the tech industry, so it's going to do fairly well. Is BA good to consider? No, I would not be in Boeing. I shorted Boeing right at about March. In March, I did very well on it. I almost doubled my money on the short on it. I covered my short at basically 99, and then it has moved up since. But I suspect that you're going to see Boeing move lower than I think it's going to move lower than the 100 level. But let me just take a look at where Boeing is trading right now on my other screen here. Hold on one second, and I should have it for you. BA is the symbol, of course, for Boeing. It's the largest exporter. It is the current tick on it is 136. I think it's very weak. I think it's going to go. I think it's a short. I'm not shorting it yet, but I'm looking at it. It's on my watch list to short next week. I think it's going lower. I think it's going to go possibly below 100. Where do you see the Dow honor the market going? I think the Dow is going to go down as well. By the way, for everyone out there, there's various indexes that they talk about all the time. The Dow is the one that they talk about all the time, but really it contains only 30 stocks, and it's really from the 1920s. I think a better measure of the overall market is the S&P 500, which is represented by the ETF. It's called the Spider, or its symbol is SPY. But the Dow Jones 30, which I shorted yesterday and I covered because it seems to be regaining strength, is represented by the ETF called the Diamond. Its symbol is DIA, and it has been. I think it's going to move much lower. I think it's going to retest. Let me bring up the chart for the Diamond on the screen that I have showing on Periscope. Oh, wait a minute. I have two comments on Periscope. So let me go here and take some comments right now. Hoping for, yeah, I'm just going to show that. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Basically, I was hoping for an overnight drop on the Spider as well. I was short the Spider. I did cover this morning, but I definitely believe, and this is another comment that Scott made. I think the Spider probably is going to see resistance at about 280. That's my guess. I have up on the screen, I have the Diamond, but let me pull up the chart for the Spider once more. The Spider is as I say, it represents the S&P 500. It's a broader index, and if you can look at this chart on the screen on Periscope, you're going to see that there's a red line. There's a red line. That's the 50-day moving average. That's where I believe it's going to move. The trend on that line is downward. So I do think that it's it's going to be shortable probably next week. It's just really hard to say. I'm going to take another customer. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm just learning how to work all this stuff. So thanks for dealing with me. Gareth Kale basically writes. He says, "What do you think about the leisure companies? I bought some ETFs, PEJ. Notice the cheesecake, and I can't believe the level is. I know this is really painful. I don't want to be. I don't want to be a negative Nelly here, but I would sell that ETF immediately and go short on it, because I do not think that the leisure companies are going to do extremely well like they have been, because basically we've lost most of our economy in terms of everybody's staying inside. I mean, in New York, it's, people are chomping, and in Wisconsin, people are saying, wow, we've got to get back to work. But nobody's going out, nobody's eating anywhere. Get rid of that. I mean, this is a common fallacy, and I'm not trying to be a you know, say no to this, don't do that, but high price, don't buy low priced stocks, because typically, if the market reverses like it is now, they're gonna get hurt the most. I know that just sounds strange. Right now, the position to be in, with very few exceptions, new economy stocks, is to be either all in cash or short the market. That's the way I think you're going to do the best. So my recommendation, Mr. Kale, is basically to sell your ETF now, and then I'll show you how to make money on that deal by shorting it, because I do believe it's going lower. Let me give I don't happen to have that chart, but let me look at my other screen here. It's PEJ. Let me see what the chart looks like on that. Let me just quickly take a look. Okay, let's look at the chart. Okay, yeah, it's a double bottomed pattern. This is going to retest. You have a chart pattern here. This is going to be at 20 in about a week. So I think you want to get out of this if you possibly can right now. Hey Scott, thanks for the comment. Wow, that's great. I love this valley face. Yeah, I think that's the resistance on it. On the spider, it is 280. My chart, of course, is from this morning, so it's not exactly up to date. So, but thanks for that comment. I really appreciate that, and I think that confirms that we're in a market where the spider's going to hit about 280. I think that's going to go lower as more and more people are going to. Please don't listen to the talking heads on CNBC, because many of them represent very large funds that are trapped in a lot of stocks that they're trying to sell. They're trying to get the retail investor back into the market so that they can liquidate their positions. This is what happens all the time when there's a bear market, is unfortunately the retail investor gets left holding a lot of bag. I don't like it, but it's just the way of the world. So if you have positions right now, really be careful. Only buy very, very select things. It's, again, the only thing I'm long right now is Tesla. The only reason I'm long Tesla is because I think that when we come out on the other side of this thing, the automobile industry is going to look totally different. Tesla has $6 billion in cash, and everybody else in the business, like Ford and GM, they're all hurting. And there's plenty of Tahoes to buy on the lots. The only open order book that's full right now that has all their deliveries is Tesla. And even in this market, on the other side of this coronavirus thing, I think you're going to see them emerge as a player, and a worldwide player too, by the way. And by the way, if you have European ETFs, get out of them, because the Europeans are extremely dependent on their automobile sales for their economies, especially in Germany. And I just don't think they're going to catch Tesla. That's just my opinion, but I think the world is changing, and the world is changing right under everybody's feet. What's going on? Let's see. But who's going to have the money to buy Teslas? Well, it's very simple. There are people there. Tesla doesn't have a whole lot of market share right now versus the other luxury brands like Mercedes and BMW. But believe me, there are people out there that even if the economy went to zero, they would still buy because they have money. Unfortunately, in this country, we have destroyed a lot of our middle class and our lower middle class in this country by keeping our wages extremely low over a long period of time, and basically outsourcing a lot of the value add to other places like Asia and Europe. And so wages have stayed essentially the same for the average person for about less 30 years. But the upper people, the people that are in the right part of the economy, they're doing extremely well. They're doing extremely well in this market, and they are buying Teslas. Tesla right now does not have a demand problem. Their order book is completely full. The Model Y is looking really strong. And I do believe that the stock will move up. But again, I'm very cautious. Whenever I buy Tesla, I always sell an option. And then if I get my option exercised, hey, I'm loving it, because that's the way I play it. I don't play it long term. I'm a trader in it. I'm not an investor in it, but I do see the demand for that company going up. And I do see them being a multi-trillion-dollar company in about 10 years. I know that's hard to believe. Okay, yeah, it looks like, yeah, okay. Another person calls in. Yeah, Scott, looks like, yeah, I definitely think the SPY has hit the top. This is a very important thing for everybody here. When the spider has hit its top position, I believe that we're going to see, and it probably won't happen until next week, we're going to see a reversal in the market. And this is when you can make a lot of money. And the way you do it is basically you watch for it to reverse. And when it reverses, that's when you short it. I will hopefully, if by the way, if you have the capability to go on to my website, dallastradingfloor.com, and leave a comment, please do, because I'm going to try to put out alerts. I'm getting that up and running, alerts on potentially shorts, because I do believe the market is going to retest lower, and that's going to happen very, very quickly. Okay. Take a blue pill and don't listen to the music. Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is true. I mean, here's the thing, everybody. Social media is a great thing because CNBC and all these other things, basically the people that have the huge positions are telling you everything is fine, the house isn't burning, no problem, nothing to see here. Well, let me tell you, that's not the case. The government would not have basically taken billions of dollars and dumped them in the economy if they thought everything was okay. Okay, I want to be very clear on that. It's not that we should run around with our heads cut off, but right now, conserve your cash, because we are coming into a period where you can actually do very well. Now, why do I talk so much about shorting? Well, what shorting does is that it actually increases your cash position. So, and you don't really own stocks, you sell stocks, you borrow stocks, you sell them, and then the money that is the proceeds from those stocks is put into your account, and it's restricted. You can't withdraw it until you cover your short, but it's in your account. So everybody, it's really, really important to get your cash and hold it very tight, because we're coming into a period when their cash was going to be a little bit short. KBE, potential short. Let me take a look at KBE really quickly. That's a good one. All right, KBE. Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. And that's a spider. That's the S&P banks. Yeah, this is a good short. I would not, here's the thing. If you're going to go short on this one, I'm currently not short on this one. I would go short, but I would cover at 22.50. The reason I'm going to cover at 22.50 is because that is the low. That's where it made its low on March 23rd. So that's considered a bottom on the stock. Would love and learn a day when you think it's going to turn. Absolutely. If you could just, I'm sort of short staffed here because I'm actually broadcasting from home. I'm short staffed. But if you could go to Dallas Trading Floor, put your information in the comments. I'm going to create a list service, using Constant Comment or what is that one? The monkey one. Can't remember that one, to get it out to everybody so that they can hopefully make some money on this deal. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. I'm already signed up. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Daily Hockey Talk. Thank you, man, for shining up, because not everyone has to lose in this downturn. There are going to be winners and there's going to be losers, but hopefully we're going to be on the winning side here. Why? Because anytime there's change, there's opportunities. So that's a really good thing to see. Yeah. Shows the bearish channel. I'm not looking at unfortunately, I'm not looking at the 1 minute chart, but I wouldn't be surprised on that. I'm going to take a look at it after I go off the air, because if we see a downtrend developing, I may be putting on the shorts again tonight, right before the close, because I do think we're going to go lower on the SPY. Yeah. Alerts. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for that. Let's try to be ready to short the SPY. Absolutely. Well, I think that's a good way to start. The one thing about the spider is that I think the volatility has come down a little bit. from where it was. I mean, two weeks ago, shorting the SPY was just excellent. I made about $8,000 in a week just doing that, which is pretty good considering everyone else was losing. So, I mean, I'm sorry to I don't want to showboat anything, because believe me, I gave a lot of it back, but the volatility is going down, but I still believe it's in the downward motion. It's sort of like a plane. It's that's pulled back, that's stalling. I think that the SPY is stalling, and I think you're going to see it fall back. Now I'm looking to if it falls back, if the spider falls back, I'm looking to cover at about the 255, 250 level. But we're not there yet. So I'm going to try to put out an alert of when I'm going short on the spider and possibly on the diamond. Now, interestingly enough, today, the three indexes moved differently. The QQQ, which represents the NASDAQ 100, that actually went up. And the spider kind of went sideways, and the diamond actually went down. I was short the diamond. It started to move up a little bit. I did close my short, just really almost a break even. Before I went on the show. It's very interesting to say that. Okay, so let's see. Next question from from YouTube. Thanks, man. I use Discord. Oh, okay. I recommend using Discord. Okay, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for that. Thanks for that advice. I'm going to take a look at Discord. This is a viewer on YouTube, and thank you so very much for looking at me. I appreciate it. I'm going to see if I can do that, so get it out there, and I have a Twitter feed as well, but I haven't engineered that yet. I'm going to also try to put it out there just to give you a heads up, because unfortunately these things change really quickly, and sometimes people will write and they'll say, well, wait a minute, you said short this, and then they see the video on TikTok 3 days later, and they're like, and then I've covered the short, and they're like, well, wait a minute, what are you doing here? It's because it changes kind of quickly. So that's a really good idea. That's my plan too. Okay, excellent. Hey, thanks so much for your comments. Let's see. I'm thinking that the SPY will go to the 260, 260. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's really good. I think that's very, very good, very shrewd. Thanks so much for bringing this up. We have people here out on TikTok that are looking at the 1 minute chart, just so you'll know what I'm talking about. What the 1 minute chart is that typically charts are divided down. Like you'll have a weekly chart, which basically will show the average, the closing price every week. Then you have the daily chart, that's the closing price every day, and so forth and so much. But traders use charts that are much, much quicker to update. The 1 minute chart being really the most. I mean, that just shows you exactly what's the pulse is. That's typically what a day trader would use, either a 5 minute chart or a 1 minute chart. I typically don't. I'm more of a swing trader, but when I'm in a day trading mode, I'm also looking at the charts like that when I'm trading. So that's just kind of an overview. What do you think the Nasdaq will be? You think the Nasdaq will keep pushing up or have a big pullback? Here's the thing about the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, you're going to see right now, that's the reason I'm not shorting the Qs. To be honest, I'm not shorting the Qs. And the reason I'm not shorting the Qs is because of this very fact. I think that the Nasdaq is basically being held up because everybody is selling the Dow stocks, is selling the S&P stocks, and they're moving into the Nasdaq 100 stocks, the Microsofts, those kind of stocks, and that's artificially moving. There's a crowding into the Qs. Now, interestingly enough, this provides an excellent shorting opportunity. For instance, I believe that Facebook, of all companies, may be a very good short because the ad revenues are dropping, and a lot of people have parked their money in Facebook thinking that it's going to continue to go higher. I don't dislike the company. I love the company, but the problem is it just can't support it doesn't have the revenues to support the kind of money that's coming in. So I do believe that eventually in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to see good shorts in the Qs. Right now, not so much. People are selling their oil stocks, they're selling their industrial stocks, and they're moving that money. If they're not into cash, they're moving that money into some of the NASDAQ 100s. That's what's supporting it, I believe. Damn, the SPY is sliding again. Okay, absolutely, in 30 minutes, exactly. another thing about the spider you've got to look at, and this is a really interesting thing because I look at the overnights, how it's trading overnight, because the spider trades 24 hours a day. Okay, there overnight you're seeing a lot of people selling positions in the spider, and then before it comes in the morning, there's buying to prop it up. There's propping up of the spider right now. Why is the spider so important? Well, many people have 401ks, and many of those are invested in index funds. And those index funds typically are very heavy in certain ETFs. And the biggest of the big is the spider. So you have all these people that have all their retirement savings in the spider. So keeping the spider up is very important to the overall psychology of the market. And that is an interesting thing because I heard the Fed. The Fed has not bought any of ETFs yet, but I think that if we get a real panic, and I hope we don't, they may actually come in to prop up the spider just because it's such an important thing in retirement accounts. So this is one of the reasons why if you have spider shares right now, you probably want to sell them and wait to short them as well. So that's just what I'm thinking. How about investing in real estate? Okay. Wow. This is also the painful thing. Real estate is going to do very poorly in the next 6 months. And how do I know this? Because I'm also a landlord. And I've already had people, I have a house in California that the minute this thing happened, I got a letter from the property management company saying, basically, your tenants are only going to pay half, and then they're going to pay half 2 months later. Well, I suspect, unfortunately, that the rest of the real estate market is going to decline in value, even though it's not going to decline like it did in 2008. That was a good period for me because I was able to buy a lot of things. But I do believe it's going to decline. I do not think you want to be in any of the sector ETFs that are invested in real estate, like the XLRE. I don't think you want to be in that. I think you want to short that, but I don't think you want to go long in that. I think that real estate is going to settle in about 6 months. It's going to be a great time to buy real estate, but right now, not so much. Let's see. Yeah, wait for the defaults. This is Bobby, this is, again, I love your comments, by the way. You're just tremendous. I do believe there's going to be defaults. I'm not saying I'm not gleeful. I think it sucks because I think a lot of people are going to default, but you need to be on the other side of that trade so that you can pick up the bargains, because there will be bargains out there. There's no question. I'm going to take another one from Periscope here. This is so much fun for me because here it is. Jim, what do you think about the bank stocks? Citi, JP Morgan Chase, Bank America Corp? No. I think the bank stocks are going to eliminate their dividend, and I think you're going to see very quickly that banks are not good. I believe that it's a good, possibly a short to short the bank sector, the financial ETF, which is the XLF. I just don't think you want to be in any of those bank stocks, just my opinion. Yeah, and you go long later. Absolutely, that's a really good thing. I'm just I have GE stocks at 10. You know, GE is a really interesting one. Interestingly enough, I went to Washington College as an undergraduate. I have to shout out to the showman there. And Larry Culp, who's now the CEO of GE, was actually a classmate of mine. So that's pretty cool. He's doing really great. I'm in Dallas, Texas, in front of the green screen, but whatever. I think at $10, I don't think GE is going to go under. And I think at $10, it's hard to say, but I do believe it's fairly priced. GE is not one to short. First of all, it's already very low. A lot of people have left it, but it has some very good core businesses. And if they can reorganize, I think it's a good one. I think GE is a good long-term position. I know that sounds weird. Here I am saying buy an industrial. Well, I'm not saying load up on it, but I'm saying if you have it, I wouldn't necessarily sell it. I would wait to see how deep this recession goes, but it may be one that was going to come out better. Okay, great. I'm going to take another one from Gustav, I believe. Okay. Thanks for advice on leisure stocks. Yeah, I mean, what is your advice give for stocks in an IRA? Okay, here's the thing. It's not a good time to add stocks in your IRA, okay? I know this is painful. This is the hardest. This is a very hard message. This is a very hard market to invest in because it is counter to everything that you're hearing. For the next few months, cash is going to be king, and so you don't want to lose cash. And one of the ways you can lose cash is by investing, by taking your 401k and putting it into actual stocks. At this point, I would recommend taking my money, at least for right now, in my retirement, and putting it into a money market account or something like that, because the banks, the Fed will back the money market. So that's just my opinion. Scott writes in, he's also on YouTube. I think it's great. I'm actually getting people on YouTube. How does Gush look to you right now? Let me take a look at Gush. Gush is a very interesting ETF in that it tracks oil, and this is a really interesting area. Okay, it's 2140 right now is the amount that I've got. It's trading in its lower part of its range. It started today at about 2350. It's down. Here's the thing about oil. I don't know if bottom fishing in oil is going to make you a lot of money. It's just tough. It's just tough. What's your thoughts on Tesla long run? I think Tesla is going to become one of the biggest companies in the world. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I do believe it is. I do believe it is, and I think long term it potentially is a very, very good. But I wouldn't buy it at these levels unless you were buying it and then selling an option like I do. If it drops to 580, I definitely would buy it. How about Visa MasterCard? This is a viewer on Periscope. How about Visa MasterCard with their online buying transactions going up? This is a good idea, but I think that PayPal is a better bet to me, because here's the thing: Visa MasterCard are great, and they've been great, but I think that I'm looking at the chart on PayPal. The PayPal chart is a little bit better. It's off today. It's at 107. I wouldn't go long on it now, but I think that's the one you want to circle. That's the one you want to look at, because PayPal is the future. Visa, MasterCard are sort of the now, but PayPal is the future. They have many more people worldwide. PayPal is a tremendous it is a tremendous play. I still think it's undervalued, by the way. It's one of the few that I think is undervalued in the financial space. Financial space is sort of dangerous, but I do. If you're going to look in that space, look at PayPal. It's a quality company. It's got lots and lots of users. What do you think about that? Okay. TVX is slowly warming. Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing about the TVX. This is a question from this is a question from TikTok, and that the TVX is right now trading at 241.17. It's up a tad, a little bit. Now, what is the TVX? The TVX is really a really interesting instrument. It is a very, very short-term instrument. It takes a leveraged position against the index of the VIX, which is basically, as they call it, the fear index. The VIX has not gone down, by the way, even though the swings on the spider and the diamond have been somewhat less in the last few days. The VIX is still way up there. It's in the stratosphere, and so when that goes up, the VIX goes up. But right now, it sort of seems to be in a holding pattern. This is a really tough call because it depends on how much the market moves to the downside as to how that's going to trade. That's a really short term. That's a day trading kind of thing you want to do on that. You don't want, that's not an investment really. It's just really a way to make some money quickly. I think your better bet is to not trade the TVX, at least for right now. I'm not against it. I'm just saying that right now it's tough because I don't think you're making money. The one you want to look at right now is probably the TQQQ. This is the long fund. Okay, no, it's down too. Wow. Okay, I put a sock in that. 63. Okay, let me look at the SQQQQ. the SQQQ is the ETF that, yeah, and it's up. The SQQQ is the one that takes the opposite. Okay, if you're looking to make kind of a day trade, you might want to look at the SQQQ right now because it operates reverse to the Nasdaq 100. It looks like it's gaining strength. So therefore, it's showing that we're going to see a reversal. It looks like. Yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be a very big down day. That's really interesting. I think tomorrow is going to be a good day to short because I'm looking at this and I think you're going to see that based on this, based on the movement of this. So that's probably a better way to play it. Waiting for this buy to move today's low. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Wait for RJC 56. Wait for it to undercut. Wait for the spider to undercut today's low before you go short on it. Right now, I'm looking at it. Yeah, this is a very, very important thing, by the way, when you're getting ready to short. Make sure that you don't short until it undercuts the low, the previous low of the day before or the week before. Try to, and this is a really interesting thing. When you're going long, you want to buy on higher highs. When you're going short, you want to sell on lower lows, at least in the short term. So look for it to undercut the low of yesterday. That's when you want to possibly look at going short on it. Should we sell the QQQ? I think that no. I think tomorrow it's going to be a very good day to go long on the SQQQ. Why do I say that? Well, the SQQQ shorts the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq 100. It's going to go up in sympathy to the Nasdaq 100 going down. I know that's kind of a strange concept, but that's the one that you can use if you don't have the capability in your account to short an account, is the SQQQ. There's other ones too, like the PSQ. There's a number of bear ETFs. The reason I like the SQQQ is it typically is the most liquid of them. So that's the way you could possibly do it. That might be a really good profit-making idea for tomorrow. Again, it just depends on how it opens up the market. Now, how can you tell which way it's going to open? Well, what I do is I look at, before I go in the air, I look at the futures of how it's traded overnight, how the spider, how the S&P futures have gone. If the futures from the night before on the S&P 500 are up, I typically take off all my shorts. If they're down, I put more shorts on. Typically, that's how I do it. So that when you get out of the box, you're not going to get caught in a situation where you're going to be gapped up or gapped down and lose. So that's what I do. Just before the market opens in regular trading, I look to see how the futures have traded in overnight. And I try to trade in sympathy with those. So I kind of know the general market direction. So that's kind of the way I do it. The SPY's yesterday's low is 275.70. So you think you can short? I think so. I think you're going to be a good short at below 273. Again, you're looking for direction here. You're looking for momentum and direction, and that's going to be a good way to judge it. But it's really, this is not an exact science. I'll be honest with you. This is not an exact science. Is keeping money, and I have somebody on Periscope, is keeping money in a money market fund safe as keeping it in a money market account? Well, yes, I believe so, because basically the Fed has come in and back that. Now, this is just a holding pattern for your money until you get ready to trade it. You want to, your default position in the market like this is cash. So in a long market like we had prior to in the February, I was not only was I long, but I had margin and I was long. I was invested 200% in the market. But when it changed, I pulled everything to cash. Right now, your default position should be cash, because I do think we're going to leg lower on the market. So that's the reason I'm saying that. Let's see, Spices. Okay, that's great. Let's see if I've got any more questions here. All right. Let me see if there are questions that I didn't pick up. TVIX is very slow. Okay. What are your thoughts about Tesla long run? Okay. Thank you very much. I didn't answer your question. XOM or XOP a buy? Okay. Those are two different things. The XOP is the XOP is the spider that tracks the oil sector. I do not think it's a buy. I think it's a short even now. And I know that's weird because we've got oil so very low. But right now, yeah, it's in a downward motion. That makes sense. Okay. Right now, the spider, the XOP, which is the spider that it's called the S&P oil, it's trading at 38.63. I believe that you could short this down to about $29, and you'd be really good picking up about $8 on that. I do not think it is a very good long. I would not buy this, but I would definitely sell it. Is XOM is ExxonMobil, by the way, for everybody. ExxonMobil is, I know that everybody loves Chevron relative to typically remember trades in the past, but I definitely, yeah, this has definitely been a short and still is a short. Yeah, this is a short at least down to 30. This is trading at 39. Do not buy this. It would be a bad move if you did that right now. So those aren't buys, unfortunately. I don't believe they are. Okay, let's see. Should I sell? I don't want to sell the SQQ tomorrow. I think you might want to consider buying it. Okay, let's see. XOP short. What day should we pick it up for 29? I don't know when that's going to happen, but based on the chart that I'm looking at, we're looking at about the end of April, and it's probably going to retest at 30.11. That's the low on ExxonMobil. On the XOP, which is the spider, let me look at that one to see. Yeah, okay, this is a little bit more tricky. I think that we're going to look at possibly this retreating. I think it's going to be about a 2-week retreat. This is going to take a retreat down to about the 30 level. I would not short it below 30, but it's 38 right now. I would think about shorting it, and I think that would be a good reversal. See, basically, that's what you're looking to do. Markets don't go up in a straight line. They don't go down in a straight line. They'll come down and then they'll come up and then they'll come down. So basically, what you're wanting to do when you're shorting is you're trying to pick up some of that investment that's already been made in the stock by selling it, by borrowing it from your broker, selling it, and then looking to rebuy it at a lower level, and then that margin is your profit. That's what you're looking to do. That's taking money out of the market. People, a lot of times won't sell the stock when they need to. They'll just hold on to it. But basically, that's what you're doing. You're helping the market by borrowing it from people. You're selling it, and you're getting it to the real price. A lot of people don't see it that way, but that's really what you're doing. So that's why it's not necessarily immoral to short. How do you short on Robinhood? Unfortunately, I do not know how you short on Robinhood. That is a very good question. Can you give me, could you possibly write that question and send it to DallasTradingFloor.com? And let me research that to see if I can find out. I know you can do it. I just don't know how to do it because I don't use that particular platform. I use TD Ameritrade. Is shorting the only way to make money in a bear market? Well, yeah, it is actually. It is, by the way. This is a question from PC List 1 on Periscope. It is the only way to make money. I know this is a very weird thing. People ask you, well, wow, how can you make market and the market is going down? How can you make money and the market is going down? Well, most people don't. 95% of the people that stay invested in a bear market lose money. I'm just telling you. I mean, there's a few companies like Tesla that you might be able to eke out a profit on a short-term basis, which is what I'm trying to do. But most of the stuff is going to go down. And in a bear market, there's only really two things you can do: go all to cash and short the market. So that really is how you make money in a down market. do you use a stop loss orders on trades, or how do you determine where? That's a really good question. I always use stop loss. As a matter of fact, I have about, I think, 20, maybe not that many, about 10 videos out on TikTok talking about how to set a stop loss. Now, when I made them, we were in a bull market, and I was talking about a stop loss to protect you on the downside. You can also use stop losses to protect you on the upside when you're shorting stocks. And typically you want to set those at about 5% more than you sold the stock. So let's say, for instance, you go short on a stock at $100. You're going to set a stop loss, like what they call a buy to cover order, at 105. Good to cancel, by the way. That's just one day, and 5% above where you sold that. So if your good to cancel is going to be at 105. If you sold the stock, you shorted the stock, you short sold the stock at 100. So if the stock reverses on you and it moves up, you're going to have to buy the shares for 105. You're going to incur a loss, but if it continues to go up, you can get more of a loss. So when you're shorting a stock, you use a buy to cover order that's a market limit order at the price that you sold the stock plus 5%. And I'm going to try to cover this on a video for TikTok, and so you can kind of understand what I'm saying here, because it's a little bit, unless you look at it, it's kind of hard to see it, unfortunately. Let's see. Some Cancelum's the only good way. Yeah, I believe on the beginning of the market, I think Cancelum is the best method, by the way. It's the method that I learned. It is the Bill O'Neill method. I think Bill O'Neill is probably the greatest investor. I mean, everyone says Warren Buffett and all that, and Warren Buffett's great, but he has an insurance company behind him. I think the Cancelum method, which is the method that the IBD uses, it's also the method that was invented by William O'Neill. I think it is the best method there is. Is it perfect? No, because it's a technical method, but it is definitely something worth learning. I went to business school. I got an MBA, and you know what? I should have spent my time learning the Cancelum method. I would be a lot richer today than if I had done that. Cancelum is like a very good thing to learn. It's like learning to be a plumber. You can learn Cancelum and you can make money, and you don't have to go to a fancy business school like I did to do it. And believe me, the most of the people on Wall Street, they do not follow Cancelum, and when it comes to a short market like that, they don't know what to do. They know, Cancelum. I can't just say anything better. I can't say anything more good about Cancelum. It's something that's just worth looking into and worth doing. And there's a lot of resources on the web, by the way. I don't, Scott. I don't know the cancel method. I'm sorry. I apologize. I went over that. Very quickly. It's called the Can-Slim method, and it basically, there's a newspaper that basically puts it into focus, and that is the Investor Business Daily. It's the method that they use. Now, there is a book that was created by William O'Neill called "How to Make Money in Stocks: Winning System in Good Times or Bad." This is something that you should have on your bookshelf. This explains the Can-Slim method. There are other books, though, that let you put the Can-Slim method into practice. It's very worth looking at. I'm not saying it's 100% right all the time, but I attribute many of the things that I've been able to do in the market to learning this method, and it's worth your time learning it. It's worth your time learning it. As I say, I mean, I have an MBA from a prestigious school in California, and you know what? I learned some stuff, but I wish I had studied Can-Slim instead, because it would have been much cheaper and much faster to do what I've done. So definitely worth looking at. Just put it out there. What other books are good? How to Make Money in Stocks. There is a great book, by the way. In 1929, there was a man named Jesse Livermore. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, but I believe he's the man that they wrote The Great Gatsby about. And he was a stock manipulator. He was a stock speculator. And he wrote a book called Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. It's well worth getting. It's an old book. I mean, it was written in the 30s, but it shows how he shorted the market. In 1929, he was worth over $100 million. And by the way, then it was all in cash. And basically, because he shorted the market in 1929. He's a very interesting character. And by the way, the canceling method, when William O'Neill created the cancel method, he was a student of what Jesse Livermore did. So this is kind of the upstream from the canceling method. You definitely want to check into his life. Just Google the name Jesse Livermore. Take a look. It's not hype. This guy was for real, and he's a very interesting character. It's definitely worth looking at. Okay, I have another question from YouTube here. I've been adding dollars to mutual funds, and they're about I think you want to just get out of the market. If you have your retirement here, this is a very dangerous time for retirement. You can lose 20 to 30% of it very easily. If you can redirect your funds to either money market funds or cash funds, this is how you want to do it. You do not want to be in their funds. You're going to lose money in their funds. You're going to put $100 in there, and you're going to get back $95 or $90 or less, or $80. Don't do it. Don't destroy your 401k. The only thing safe right now for many of those 401k things, I believe, is the money market funds. That's really the only ones that I think you really want to look at least until we can get a bottom on this market. Once we have a bottom on the market, then we go into things. But right now, you don't want to dissipate your cash. Cash is king. Just want to say it. What are your plays today? Right now, and thank you for putting up. I'm going to put this up on I'm going to show you my positions here on Periscope and YouTube. This is the current position that I have in the market. I'm just showing you. I purchased Tesla at 730.65, 100 shares on Tuesday, and then I sold a call option for 28.93. It looks like I am going to do fairly good on this one. That's my only position right now. I have closed my short positions on the spider and on the diamond, and that's the positions that I'm currently in. So just sake of full disclosure. And by the way, if you want to see kind of my LinkedIn profile, so check out who I am. That's sort of where I'm going. Well, great. It's been an hour, and I so appreciate everybody tuning in. It's just such a pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully, go to DallasTradingFloor.com and put your name in there, because I'm going to try to create an alert system that maybe actionable alerts, so that we can all benefit from this market, because I believe we can. And I think there's money to make. Whenever there's chaos, there's usually opportunity. It's just where to find it. And hopefully, I'm going to try to help and, show some of what I'm doing. I'm not always right, believe me. But over the years, I have made money in the market. And so I'm just trying to. I'd like to be able to share that with everyone out there. It says, the retail investor that normally gets screwed. I'm hoping that the retail investor is going to come out on the other side of this much stronger, much richer than they were before. And thank you so much. I will be on tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Again, thank you again for watching. It's such a pleasure to be here. And by the way, I'm going to put up my phone number for people on Periscope and YouTube. It's 214-233-5087. If I don't answer the phone, just leave a message if you want to do it that way. Again, thanks for everyone, and stay safe, stay inside, because this COVID-19 thing, unfortunately, is very real, and we're in a bad situation. But we're going to get through it together. We're all going to make money. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And thank you, everyone who's been watching me on Periscope and YouTube. I so appreciate your time. You taking your time out of your busy schedule to take a look at me. And do sign up on my website, in the comments, and hopefully I will have some actionable items out to you on email. Thanks again. See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.